Hello, everyone. Waterloo Road Rewind, and we're at the penultimate episode of Series 2. This one's kind of interesting. So, I can't remember what episode it was, but I want to say it was early on into either Series 1 or Series 2. From when I recorded quite a fair amount of time ago. I said that some of the episodes felt kind of like they lacked direction, like they were setting things up. Like there was a lot of little pieces going on rather than like a coherent plot of the week. Like you think a few episodes ago, we had Russell, who was the newly qualified teacher, or, well, not quite. He was doing his teacher training and he couldn't hack it. The kids were calling him Stumpy, and it was a lot of the episode was focused on him and Andrew, and there were little bits and pieces and stuff going on in the background. Whereas this one doesn't really feel like there's a coherent, like, plot of the week deal. It just kind of feels like a load of stuff, a kind of mishmash together. So this episode introduces one of my favorite one-off characters. Well, I guess he's in two episodes, but this kind of feels like part one, part two. So I would kind of argue that it's one episode, 2 hour long episode. So we get in this episode, so you put your hands together and you pray. So you're it's me, Lord, Jerry Preston. I'm here with the good folks at Waterloo Road in England. And Jerry Preston is like the worst, but he makes me laugh. Because he's so insufferable, but like, he's really like dumb and just doesn't realize it. So he kind of feels like quite a good sort of foil for Andrew, because Andrew's very much like logic, facts, science backing, and he sort of does things by the book. Whereas Jerry is a creationist. His company has sort of funded and pushes creationist beliefs, which again is fine. If anyone here is a Christian or of any religious belief, I'm not trying to upset you. I respect your views entirely. I don't personally believe in God or religion. It's not for me, but if it helps you get through the day, then I have the utmost respect for you, and I will not say a bad word against you. In this instance, Jerry specifically is bad because his company is like doing stuff like proving that homosexuality is not real, like a war on homosexuality, which is just awful. So it's stuff like that, and the sort of the abortion stuff, and like Jerry's just not a nice man, really. And I love Andrew's speech in the next episode, which we'll get to when I record it. So Jerry's kind of there. He's having a tour of the school. He's meeting the teachers. It's just, his dialogue just feels very like fake. Like, I'm not saying the writing's bad. It's just, I think that for a character like Jerry, so much of it just feels artificial, and the American accent just stands out so much amongst a British crowd. Slightly off tangent, but I've always thought, and I said this to my friends a little while ago, that I think an American accent surrounded by a bunch of British people stands out a lot more than one British person surrounded by a group of Americans. It might just be me that thinks it, maybe because I'm just so used to the British accent that it feels that much more different to me, and if I was American, I'd find it the other way around. But I always think that like a thick American accent just sticks out like a sore thumb in a British crowd. And a lot of that conflict comes to his sort of interactions with Janice. So Janice in this episode is like we've seen it build towards before. She's interested in dinosaurs. Last season they went on that school trip, and Andrew was telling her all about like the dinosaurs. He got her that dinosaur book that she was looking at. It's a nice little callback. And then Roger's like, "Oh, what are you reading?" And then he's like, "Oh, well, Janice." The fact he calls him Janice makes me cringe. It's funny, but like, he's like, "Oh, well, none of that's real. I mean, the Lord calls dinosaurs dragons," and just gives her a load of books on like it's funny and it's humorous and he's insufferable. But like, I feel bad for Janice because she's quite young and susceptible, and she's sort of listening to this like authority figure, despite the fact that he's just a massive moron and just so much wrong with him. And he's like, I'll give you some books. So she takes the books to Andrew's classroom that she's clearly already started reading because Roger was not Roger. Jerry was like, when you're done, we'll talk about it. and she's talking about like Noah's Ark and the Great Flood and all this other religious stuff. And Andrew is like, "What is that, Janice?" And Janice explains, and he's like, "No." I was like, "Don't you remember? We went to the museum. You saw the fossils." And she's like, "Oh, but Jerry says that the Earth was made by God 6,000 years ago." And you can just see Andrew getting more and more irritated. And he takes the books off Janice, and he's like, "Oh, Jerry can come and speak to me then," which again is snowballing nicely into the finale. And I love Andrew at the end of series two. Speaking of Andrew, there's also the plot where he's been offered the job in Rwanda to go and teach and make a difference. And Kim with him was very much like, Andrew, you need to do this. You can go make a difference. You can help lots of people. It'll be good for you. And Andrew's still very much on the fence, but I think it's a nice conversation that he and Kim had. It shows that he genuinely values Kim's opinions so much. So that was good to hear. And then we get a nice little dialogue between Izzy and Kim, where Kim basically explains that despite it's a great opportunity, she doesn't want Andrew to go. She'll miss him, etc., etc. Again, it's pushing the Kim and Andrew storyline. And Izzy's like, "Oh, well, you're almost as bad as me and Tom are." I was like, "No, they're not. No one is as bad as you, Tom, and Lorna were." And she's like, "Oh, everyone thinks that you two should be together, like romantically." And then Kim kicks off and is like, "No, like I don't see Andrew that way." It's like, "Yes, you do." So yeah, there's that. Again, I get sort of fan servicing now. We're heading towards the end, sort of rounding things off. This is where Andrew and Kim's story goes, at least for a bit, because as we know, Andrew comes back in series 3, 4, maybe the end of series 3. I don't really remember. Because, yeah, of course, Kim comes back halfway through series 4, and then 11, and Andrew comes back in 12. So, got all that to look forward to. The whole Tom and Izzy thing is kind of weird. So, not only are they back together, they're getting married now. That feels like a speed run. That feels like a jump the shark. I get Steph's point of view because Steph sort of was defending Lorna. And while Lorna's not my favourite person, it does feel quite trying to think of the word, like it feels quite sus to be getting married the second that she's put in the ground. It feels like, I get they're like, okay, fuck, we've got 2 episodes left, we need to resolve this, but like it could have just happened in the background. You could have had Lorna's storyline still play out and Tom and Izzy just not break up, and then the marriage would feel slightly more real. I don't know. So yeah, that's happening. Except it's not, because we know what happens next episode. But yeah, I don't agree with the marriage. I think if they just got back together, that would have been enough. The marriage feels like a complete jump the shark moment, and I'm not for it. Yeah, before I get into the other things, think there's anything else I missed. I looked at the actor who plays Jerry Preston's filmography, and apparently he appears in The Dark Knight. So now does that mean that Batman and Waterloo Road are in the same universe? Who's to say? He's also in Fantastic Beasts, so maybe Harry Potter and Waterloo Road are in the same universe. He's not big roles. I feel like he's a hobo or a homeless person, although Wikipedia said hobo, in Fantastic Beasts, and in Batman he's just a thug, I think. So not big roles, but you know he's done 2 major franchises and Waterloo Road, which is like the major of all major franchises. So the Seddon family rock up in a food truck to try to stomp on Jack's healthy food initiative, and they start selling burgers and donuts and chips and crisps and all that stuff to kids. I'm fine with it. I mean, I think the introductory scene's quite funny where Jack basically tells them to do one, but he can't because they've got like agreement for the council to be there. And Lewis's ASBO's finally been lifted, so he's allowed to be there too. Again, setting a lot of stuff up for the finale. We've now met Jed Seddon, who, as we know, plays a big role in the finale. He and Jack kind of lock horns a bit. But the real thing is that they start dealing drugs. So they are drug dealing. 2 of the girls take them, and one girl gets quite sick and gets hospitalized. So Andrew and Jack are kind of there for her. They realize there's a drug issue in the school, so they're trying to resolve that. Again, that very much feeds into the finale as Jack is trying to solve the drug issue, and he and Lorna kind of not Lorna, he and Davina kind of get back together, despite the fact that Steph had quite a cringy scene trying to snipe and trying to take Davina down while trying to get Jack back. The whole thing's humorous. I like it when like it's very clear Davina's been listening, and you can see the windows open to Jack's bit of the office when when Steph laughs and pretends to leave. You can just see Jack's pulling a face like, "What is happening?" And that was quite amusing. Um, so yeah, again, like I said, I haven't got a lot to say about this one, mostly because I think it's just sort of part one to a two-parter. So I think for now I will probably call it, just because there's not a great deal happened. Most of it was just sort of setup for the next episode. So yeah, this has been Waterloo Road Rewind. You've had Ollie, and as always, I'll catch you next time.